So one thing you can do with this routing, if you understand how it works, is you can route one track to another. For instance, I have this Snowpad clip here, and this is what it sounds like. And I might want to send that to another track for a variety of reasons. Maybe I want to print the effect, which we are going to go over in another video in this module. Maybe I want to add different processing to it, whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new audio track. And I'm going to get the audio from Ion Snowpad Chord. And then I am going to record arm the track, have the input monitoring set to auto. I'm going to call this Ion Pad Print. Now, if I press this session record button, this will play and the MIDI will be printed on here. I'm going to show you this a little more in depth, like I said, in another video in this module, but this is a basic rendering of it. So now this MIDI note is audio. Another way to use Live's flexible routing is to have two tracks share one MIDI clip. So I have this analog stab track here, and this is what it sounds like. Pretty simple. And what I want to do is have this brass analog instrument play that exact clip. Now, how I would probably do this for real would be to just option drag that clip over, and now this brass track will play this clip. Okay, and that's the standard way to do it. That would be a very easy way to do, and it doesn't cost very much in computer processing power, so there's really no reason not to do it that way. But let's explore how we can use routing to make this happen instead of copying the clip. I have the brass track set to get MIDI from analog stab. Now the MIDI that comes out of this track will also go into this track. If I want to hear that, I have two options. In auto, I can record arm the track, and now we'll hear whatever passes through it. Or better yet, I'll just switch it to input monitoring, and now we'll hear this clip on both these tracks. Before we close out this video, let's look at the master section here. There are some options that you might want to be aware of. First of all, we have these yellow buttons in the corner here, and these are the show and hide buttons. So if I don't want to see my input-output section, I can click that and it goes away. But most of the time, I do want to see it. Same thing with sends and returns. You can show and hide those. The mixer, the fader and solo mute buttons, things like that. Track delay. Now, right down here is an interesting section. This allows you to change settings on Live to compensate for delay that might be introduced by certain plugins or certain recording setups. In general, you want to leave this alone unless you really know what you're doing with it. And as a matter of fact, I usually keep that hidden. This section, the X, this is a crossfader section, and this is kind of neat. So Live gives you the ability to have A and B tracks and then to crossfade in between them. And this is similar to a DJ turntable setup. So now I have some of these tracks going to A and some going to B. I'm going to play all of them, and let's hear what it sounds like when I use this crossfader to change between them. So now I'm just hearing A tracks. And now I'm just hearing B tracks. If I put the crossfader right in the middle, I get to hear all the tracks. And if a track is not assigned to A or B, then it plays on both sides. So you could imagine making DJ sets in the live session view window and then using the crossfader, just like a regular crossfade tool on a DJ turntable setup. You could also map this to a MIDI controller so you could have that tactile response. And lastly, let's look at this control right here. It's the Q volume. And this controls the volume of the sample previews in live. And so if you bring this down, the previews will be quieter. It also controls the volume of the metronome. And if I set my Q output to something other than the main outs, if I have an interface with at least 4 outputs, then this becomes a volume control for these tracks right here. And you can see the solo button has now changed to a headphone icon. And again, this is used for DJing. You can listen to a track in Q mode, and that's not going to your main outputs. It's going to maybe like a set of headphones or something like that, or another set of monitors in a recording booth if you're in a studio situation. So that's a little bit outside the scope of the course, but you can check it out on your own. I'm going to switch my Q output back to my main outs so that the solo buttons function normally.